Hey guys, what is up? Quacker here. Welcome to the fourth tutorial in our mini-series about big data in the cloud, working with Hadoop and HBase. In this tutorial, we are going to be configuring our EMR server that we launched through Amazon. As you can see, I just have a text editor and two console windows here. So the screen you'll probably get once your cluster is running is this one. I went ahead and clicked the SSH and copied over this SSH command where this key pair would be replaced by yours. So if I actually run this command, let me log out for a second. Just go ahead and SSH into our server. You should be greeted with, a security warning whether you want to accept these permissions. Just go ahead and click yes on that, and then you are in. So if you go ahead and do a ls, you can see this is our Hadoop master server. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually copy out some of our taxi data into Hadoop. I mentioned before that you can upload your data through this screen, basically through the S3 web interface. If you have a really slow connection like some of you guys, this might not be the best way to do it. So I figured out I would show you an alternate way where you can utilize the fast internet connection of your server. So again, as you can see, it looks like I have trip data and trip fare in here already, which I must have uploaded previously. We are just going to run through and upload one more, and then I'll upload the rest in between tutorials since we need it for the next tutorial. So let me just go ahead and grab. So I have this link, which is for the trip data 2. So in order to do this, all you need to do is we're going to just make a data directory, and we're just going to do a wget on this. So let's go ahead and paste in that link. So as you can see, I'm retrieving it at 12 megs a second, so that's much quicker than a standard internet connection. And once we actually copy this over, we can unzip it. Or we can keep it zipped, since we actually only need to unzip it once we move it into HBase. And we can copy it over into S3, and I'll show you that in a second once this is complete. Okay, and it looks like our wget is complete. We have retrieved a copy of trip data 2 and trip fare 2 from this website. As I'll go ahead and do 3 through 12 for the rest of the data out of this tutorial, but at the end we'll have every single one of those kind of copied over into S3. And in order to actually copy these files into S3, all I have to do is do AWS S3. Actually, let's make sure we have our AWS. Good. AWS S3 CP, and we need trip data. I don't know if it does auto completion. 2.csv.zip, and let's copy it over into our bucket, which is actually Quackware New York City taxi data. HBase backup is for our backup. I'll make sure to move these files over into New York City taxi data since I think I incorrectly copied them there. Okay, so we'll have that. And so all we have to do is quackware.New York City taxi data. And let me just copy this. And I think we also have to specify the actual file name. So let's do trip data 2.csv.zip. Cool. So as you can see, very quickly copying all the files over. It splits it up into different parts, does some fancy copying through that. And let's go ahead and do trip fare as well. Trip fare. Copy, copy. Awesome. So that was actually much quicker than uploading through that web interface, at least on my internet connection. So it's just like a helpful tip if you want to speed up the process of uploading files. And Amazon actually provides a way for you to send them a hard drive where they'll upload all the data you need. So there's a couple different ways to load all this data. Cool. So as you can see, our trip data 2 is now stored in S3. So if our server ever goes down, we can load it up again without losing any data. And let's go ahead and copy the data from our bucket that we incorrectly copied to into this bucket as well. So all we have to do for that is quackware HBase backup, and it was tripfare1, and we copy it into taxi data tripfare1. So it's pretty much the exact same as copying it from, your local server. You just copy it from one S3 bucket to another S3 bucket. And our other one was trip data and trip data. And it's copy, copy, copy. And now we should see, let's go ahead and bring this up. We should see both the sets of files here. Okay, looks like trip data, trip data, trip data 1, trip data 1, HBase backup, trip data 1. Oh, looks like it just finished. Okay, hung there for a second. Cool. Okay, so that's complete. We'll not bore you guys with the rest of that copying, but okay, we have our data available to us, and I guess we can do one more thing, which I'll do right now, which is copy. Oh, got a little lag there. Copy from our S3 the original, trip data 1 and tripfare1 to our local directory. So we can do trip data 1.csv.zip, and we'll do it here as well. Okay, and tripfare, just so we have two sets of files that we can work with. Awesome. Okay, so looks like we lost connection because we're doing all these copies. Let's go ahead and SSH back in there. Okay, so the next step we have to do is install Maven. Now Maven, for those of you that don't know, is a build system for Java. It just makes it really easy to build large projects by just specifying a configuration file. And I'm going to be using this website, maven.apache.org, which has installation instructions and other useful information about Maven, so you can go ahead and use that if you want. I'm going to copy this link address. So we're going to pretty much be doing the same thing. Let's go ahead and make a temp directory where we can download this in. We're going to be doing a wget with the Maven link. So we've copied the tar gz, and we want to extract the tar into basically the place where we want Maven to be. So this depends. It's pretty much like wherever you want. A common one is user local Apache Maven. So let's go ahead and extract it there. And this command, of course, I always forget, tar xvf Apache Maven tar z. So let's go ahead and extract that. And let's move this Apache Maven extract that we have here. Let's see, where was that folder? Okay, so move Apache Maven, and we want to move it to that user local Apache Maven. Oh, and we have to sudo. Okay, so if we do ls user local, cool, Apache Maven there. Okay, and a couple other steps. We just have to make sure that Apache Maven is on our path, and also that we have Java. Cool, so we have Java available to us, and let's go ahead and tell the system that we have Maven and point it to the correct location. In order to do that, we just have to export our path variable, and we have to add Maven to it. Apache Maven, and then Apache Maven, let's see. Gotta make sure that I have the path right. Okay, so bin, and that's all we need. Cool. And let's go ahead and test that we have it. Maven version. Okay, Maven command not found. Let's see, user local Apache Maven oops, add one extra. So ideally you want to actually delete this bad export, but for the sake of time, we just removed that extra Apache Maven. Cool, so we're able to have Maven installed. So now we can build our various MapReduce and bulk upload scripts that we have. Okay, cool. So the final thing that we need to do is we need to create our HBase tables, and we need to actually transfer data to HDFS. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and go into data. We have to make sure to unzip the strip data, because we can only actually store, we don't want to store the zipped files in HDFS. We want to store the actual CSV files that our bulk upload script can access later. So let's go ahead and do that. And let's do zip trip fair disk full. Interesting. So let's go ahead and let's just remove this trip data to trip. So we have this stored in S3 anyway, so it doesn't really matter if we remove it. Let's go ahead and cancel that. Remove the CSV and try this again. And get this ready for when we're going to unzip this, move it into HDFS, delete it, and then unzip this and move it into HDFS, since I apparently don't have enough storage, which is cool. I mean, you guys can always get extra storage if you want. Alright, so let's pause this and we'll come back when this is done. Okay, we are back, and I actually noticed that I was working out of basically the home directory, which doesn't have enough available space for all of our CSV files. So I went ahead and created a folder on /mnt temp, where as you can see, it has a lot more data available, or space available to us. And I went ahead and unextracted the trip data 1 and trip fair 1 CSV files. So now we can go ahead and add these files into Hadoop, into HDFS. So to take a look at what we have in HDFS, we can just do an Hadoop fs-ls, and it should list, okay, let's go ahead and do /. Cool, so it looks like we have HBase, mount, temp, and user. Let's see what's in user. Hive, Hue, Uzi, and sample. So I guess since we are only really copying it over and then loading it into HBase, we can either copy it into temp or HBase. Let's see what's in HBase. Let's just go ahead and copy the CSV files directly into the /HBase. Might not be the best way, but we don't really care. We're probably going to delete it later. So we have our trip data 1 CSV, trip fair 1 CSV. In order for our bulk upload script to take the data and upload it into HBase, it actually has to be stored in HDFS. So let's go ahead and create a folder. So let's just say data, and we want to pass it a mk dir command. So this will make a folder called /HBase/data, where we can put our CSV files. Looks like there's nothing in there. Awesome. So, and then we can just use a put command to add our CSV files into that folder. So we do put trip data1.csv, and we can do HBase data. So this will take the data from our local file system and add it into HDFS. It'll probably take a little bit of time because these are pretty big files. So I wonder if we can do it with the other file here, Hadoop fs-put trip fair and HBase data. Cool, looks like that one's complete. Let's go ahead and take a look, see if it's in there. Trip data, trip fair, which is the one that's copying. Awesome. So yeah, as you can see, these are very large files, so perfect for HDFS. So let's remove our trip data so we can just clean up. Since we have it in S3, we have it in, yes. We have all this data available to us in S3, and now it's in HDFS, so we don't really need it in our local file system anymore. Okay, now that we have things in HDFS, we can bulk upload it into HBase. So the last thing we need to do before we can actually write those scripts and run the upload script that we create is we need to create our HBase tables. So let's go back into our home and we can run a command called HBase shell. This basically just opens up an interactive shell to our HBase cluster. We can do various things like list tables, scan, create tables. The thing we want to do is we want to create a table. We're just going to go ahead and call it fair. And we need to give it a column family. A column family basically just holds a collection of different columns. You can think of columns as things like medallion, pickup date time, drop off date time. Remember from our previous tutorial about talking about our data set. So we want to create one column family which is basically data. So we're going to use D for short, since it's always good to have really short column family names. And we also want one to store our aggregated data set. We can keep it in the data, that's totally fine. I just like to have a separate one, so let's go ahead and call it A for aggregated. So create the fair table and create the D column family and create the A column family. That's pretty much what this command is doing. Cool, so we enter that in, looks like it's done. Let's do a scan fair. Cool, so we have created our fair table, and we added the D and A column family to it. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that schema is set up when we write our bulk upload script in the next tutorial. Make sure to watch that. That's it for this one. It's Quackware signing out.